It's no secret that we're all trying to keep our employees' attention. But how? There's just no magic pill or one thing that's gonna grab everyone's attention. That's why in today's video, I'm gonna give you a little inside peek into how I think that we are totally missing the mark by not paying attention to one big thing that already has our employees' attention and starting to borrow and steal some things that are working in that area. And that is social media. Hi, my name is Vanessa Alzate, the founder and CEO of Anchor Training, where we help organizations create custom learning solutions, borrowing from things that work like social media and utilizing the Anchor Training learning content pillars to create training that employees want to take, they retain, and that has a return on investment for the business. So I'll be honest, I have a love-hate relationship with social media. Like many of you, we see some really great things and some not so really great things. But honestly, when I really look at the good, there's a lot there that I can be taking as a learning and development consultant and really utilizing in the solutions that I'm creating. Because if it's working for social media, it's probably going to work in learning and development. So let's talk about some of these really great things that's working on social media that we should be utilizing. First things first, video. Video is capturing the heart and the attention of most people right now. It started really with TikTok, and short form video just went whoosh, out the gate. I mean, Instagram now has Instagram Reels, YouTube now has YouTube Shorts. I'm surprised that LinkedIn doesn't have anything, but I'm sure at some point LinkedIn will probably get on the bandwagon of some sort of short form video. Whether we're learning a new recipe or a cleaning hack, this short-term video tool has shown us that we can learn in anywhere from 7 to 60 seconds. And people actually don't need perfection when it comes to video. So how often do we say we can't do video because it's gonna be so expensive, because it has to be perfect and it's gonna take so long and this and that? But now, with the way that people are consuming short-form video in TikTok style format, no longer is the landscape really needed. You could do portrait mode and grab your phone and create a quick video. I mean, some of my TikTok videos truly only take 15 seconds in order to create, and they're ready to edit and put online. So we really have to look at this and say, does all of our content have to be perfect? And is there content that we are creating that we can distill down even further and just utilize as tips and tricks and feed this out to our people? Is there a way that we can pull away from the perfectionism and say, this is good enough. It does not have to be perfect, perfect, perfect. The other thing that I love about short form video is the fact that it's empowering people, anyone really, ordinary people, to become creators. So you can empower your employees to also become creators. I mean, instead of asking the learning and development department or the training department to always come up with the tips and tricks and extract it from the SMEs, ask the SMEs to create the videos, the quick tips and tricks, and then you can post them online and they can become the creators. So there's a lot to really think about there and a lot to really distill down and really think about how can we apply this at our organization. But honestly, I think content creators are going to be a future job for learning and development. Another thing that I've learned from social media is that in order to engage with your audience, you have to really know them. And every single content creator that talks about how to get more views on Reels, how to get more views on TikTok, how to grow your audience, that's their biggest takeaway. Know your audience inside and out. You need to know everything about them, their motivations, the words that they speak, their pain points. And if we really think about it, that's what we are supposed to do in learning and development. We really have to know our audience. And how often do we really go into creating training where we make assumptions about our audience, but we never actually talk to them before we create the solution for them? Fortunately, I think that happens more often than not. So if we take the time to really craft learner personas and the ideal learner avatars and things like that, you can really accelerate your content and create content that connects because you're really thinking about that learner, that employee, that viewer in mind. And then you can take things like their stories, their aspirations, their hopes, their dreams, and put all of that into content that's actually valuetaining. If you're not sure exactly what I mean by valuetaining, check out this video above. It's all about the Anchor Training learning content pillars, and it will go all in depth into what valuetainment actually is. The next thing that I've picked up on social media and something that we can apply in learning and development is we don't actually have to tell learners how to navigate every part of a software or a system. I have done a lot of software training in my time. It's how I got my start. It's my bread and butter. Secretly, it's kind of a love of mine. Maybe the nostalgia. So often when we're creating, we're adding all of these things, we have to tell them exactly what every single button on the screen does, instead of just distilling down like, hey, this is what you need to know in order to get your job done, and not worry about every single button on there. Think about when you opened up Facebook or Instagram for the first time. There was no tutorial. There was no digital adoption platform sitting on top of it, giving you help bubbles and screens. We just started playing around and figuring it out, right? Every time Instagram does an update, every time Facebook does an update, you just figure out where it is that you're going. Sometimes you love the changes, sometimes you don't love the changes, but even when you have a training explaining where everything is, you still might love or hate the changes to a UI. That goes beyond trading. You don't actually need the tutorial. You don't need to know everything. So let's think about that for learning and development. Next time you create training, really think about what they need to know in order to get the job done, and let the learners explore on the rest. Instinctively, that's really what we want to do. That's how we roll, right? Like when I got a new camera, I didn't, sit down and read the manual. I just started playing around buttons and figured it out. And, I got some things wrong, I got some things right, and eventually I got some help to tweak a couple of things, but I didn't really need all of the things and all of the training in order to use the system. So really think about the training that you're creating and how necessary it is, and what the necessary aspect is to be trained on or to learn, and train that. The next thing that I've learned about and I've really picked up about social media and learning is how we can effectively flip the classroom and make in-person time more meaningful, especially if we're actually going to be in person, and honestly, even if you're going to do any sort of virtual time as well. There is nothing more awful than going to, finally being in person or meeting up virtually and being talked to the whole time. You're really missing out on those connections. If you can train all of the content via video and all of these other asynchronous modalities, then you can take the in-person time and really make it meaningful, right? Do more group exercise, do team building, do things that you can only do because you're in person and together. And that is what people want. People, when they're in person, when they're together, they want it to just be meaningful. So if you're getting them together to spit content at them the entire time, that's not going to be meaningful. They're going to see it as a waste of time, and they're going to be disengaged. But if you give them pre-work, give them all the content ahead of the time that they're going to need, and they come into the workshop, they come into the classroom, and it's an experience, right? It's an immersive experience where they're actually, doing things with their colleagues, they're doing things with their peers, and they're actually practicing what it is that they learned. That is a more meaningful experience, and that you're more engaged with. The next thing that we have learned from social media that I am applying to learning and development is how to stop the scroll. Let's be honest. We scroll email, we skim email, we scroll Teams notifications, we scroll Slack notifications, we scroll constantly. And in order for us to stop the scroll, it has to take something to really hook us from the beginning. Social media creators know. They likely have 2 to 3 seconds to hook you before you're swiping onto that next video. And frankly, we need to do the same for our audience, our learners. Starting a training with, welcome to Introduction to Project Management. In this module, you are going to learn what project management is, how to become a good project manager, and da-da-da-da-da-da. That's not as engaging or as interesting, right? Now, what if we utilize what we're seeing on social media and the way that they're hooking people in and use that to introduce our training? So let's try something like this. Hey, are you tired of constantly having to push your project deadlines farther and farther back? I don't know about you, but I don't want to be the project manager that has to go to the CFO and say, sorry, we went $1 million over budget. And that software system rollout, that's gonna be 2 months past its projected rollout date. So if you're ready to find a system that's gonna help you keep your projects on time and on budget and learn how to be the project manager of your dreams, then stick with me as we navigate project management for dummies. And then the last thing that I've learned from social media is that you need these 3 things in order to make things stick and in order to really create change. And that is valuetainment, activation, and collaboration. And that is why I use those 3 key pillars as part of the Anchor Training learning content pillars. And if you want to learn more about what all of those pillars are and how we use them, click the link above to watch the video. So, do you want to know more about how you can utilize these principles and these lessons in your next training? I want you to click the link down below to go to the Anchor Training website to schedule a consultation call with me. We will talk all about your project and how you can use the content pillars in order to create learning that creates change, promotes retention, and brings ROI back to the business. Friends, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.